I kind of realize when they say youth is wasted on the young. So the older you get, that your mind was to rediscover itself, its childhood. My sabbatical is coming to an end. Last year, November, I was extremely depressed, had high anxiety, really didn't know if I was gonna keep working, and I was just unsure of myself, unsure of my future, wondering on my purpose in life, if the work I was doing, well, the work I was doing was not fulfilling, to be honest. And I really didn't know what my next step was. I just wanted to quit everything. And at that time, I had taken a medical leave, pretty much a medical leave. And it's more of a medical leave than a sabbatical, because I was struggling mentally with my mental health. And this month is September now. I think I've been out of work for almost 10 months. And those 10 months have not been easy at all. They've not been like super relaxing or anything, because I had to go through a lot to really get the help I needed for my mental health, by saying like psychiatrist, psychologist, therapist, being on several medications, and then just really trying to find myself again. And it's been such a process. And in that cycle too, I turned 30. And when I turned 30, I was wondering like, oh, now that I'm 30, I didn't think I would feel this way at 30. I thought at 30 I would find myself and I would know what I like. I would be so sure of myself. I would be where I want to be financially, career-wise. And the happiness that I thought I would have at 30, I didn't have that. It was very rough for me. I think all my life, I have been enrolled in school. I have always been on the go since I was at the age of, since I can remember, from primary school, secondary school. I came to North America at the age of 17, and I was in Canada. Then I moved to the United States to continue my education, and then I did my bachelor's degree in electrical engineering, my master's in electrical engineering, and right immediately after that, I jumped into the workforce and I started working. I worked in one company for a few years. Then I moved to Taiwan because I got a job offer in Taiwan. I also moved there. When I was in Taiwan was when my mental health really, really started to take its toll on me. I came back to the United States, and I got a job here in California, and I thought like, when I got the job, it was the highest paying job I had ever gotten in my life. And I had always looked at money as something that is going to fulfill me, that is going to really make me happy. That's what I have always looked at money for. I remember right before I graduated college, I wrote an amount of money that was so high that I wanted to earn in my life, and miraculously, to the exact dollar, that was the amount I was offered. So I took the job and I thought this was gonna be it. But that job was one of the most miserable jobs I had ever done. I had never been so stressed in my life. I was super overworked, and I was so unhappy because of what I thought was happiness and fulfillment. It was a big shock to my mental health and my mental states that I did have a mental breakdown at that point. I just remember waking up one morning and my body just couldn't do what it usually do. I couldn't do the grind no more. I was extremely burnt out, and my purpose was just like gone. And this, such a shock to me that was ever on the go. It was like me telling my body to do what it always did, and it shut down on me mentally and physically. I remember just being in my room, crying days, just like extremely miserable. And so, but I first sought out a help with a psychiatrist, but even when I got diagnosed, I found it hard to accept the diagnosis. So, but all this time I've spent time like traveling. I've gone to, in America, I went to Atlanta, I went back to Texas to see friends of mine, I went to Seattle. I was wondering, should I return back home to Nigeria? Should I stay here? Just so many questions on what I should do, and oh gosh, I have never ever felt so unsure of myself before. And but and I, it didn't get better. It didn't get better. I thought if I took time off work, it would get better. It actually got worse. And I'm sorry if it's noisy out here. Um, there is a road here. It didn't get better at all. I thought it would actually get better. I actually fell deeper into a depression and deeper into like a mind spiral like ever before, and got to the point where I had to actually be admitted. And through the program, I remember thinking like, oh, only crazy people, like really crazy people, gets like admitted into like psychiatric help and everything. We had like we were having like group therapy session, and I remember looking at everybody else like, why am I here? I'm not the crazy one, you know. I remember when I first came in and I saw someone like strapped to the bed, and I was like, no, I don't belong here. But then I realized like, wow, I met in the psychiatric help, I met teachers, I met engineers, I met business owners, I met veterans, I met different people in this group therapy. And I really realized like, we are not that different from each other. I remember the girl that I really aligned with and I really felt like I clicked with. If you ever watch the movie The Girl with the Dragon's Tattoo, she looked exactly like that girl, very different from how I am. She was like piercing, tattooed up and everything. But I could understand everything she was saying and she could understand everything I was saying. And I was just like, I feel like that whole process really made me reorient myself and my view of life. I felt like, yeah, I had to really look down on who am I? Who am I without engineering degree, and who am I without anything? But what has kept me going? I remember when they really thought I was gonna be suicidal or anything like that, trigger warning. I wasn't. I told them that I would never be a suicidal person just because I have God. God has really kept me all my life. He's really been my sustenance and my power. So I really give that to God, like throughout this process of rediscovery. Anyways, I don't want to like super ramble or super talk too much. And this is longer than I thought it was gonna be. But I came to this park and I saw this like children's it's like a child's playground. And I feel like that really imitates where I am in life. When I went through therapy, I discovered that I have been stuck in my mind since I was 7. I never really grew. Since I was 7, I've always had the same mindset. I've always seen the world the same way. I've always had kind of like a naivety to me. I've always seen the world as very black and white and no gray areas at all. And this has really affected my life and working with other people, co-working with other people in general. So coming to this playground, I realized like, yeah, I'm still a child in my mind. I'm still extremely naive. My friendships and people around me, they will tell you that I can be very naive and I really look at the world black and white, where if someone does something, I cannot understand why they do the things they do. I'll be like, wait, why are you doing that? It doesn't help you, I can never understand gray areas, as people say. Of which I still don't think the world is gray. I think like what we call gray areas are things that we do not have enough understanding to classify them into black and white. That's just me, that's my belief. But now I'm exploring those areas. I'm exploring the unknown. Now I'm gradually trying to pick myself from that 7-year-old girl and grow into me now at 30. And it's gonna be a process. And my therapist, I always ask my therapist, I'm like, when is this gonna be over? When am I gonna be fine? And when is everything gonna be over? When would I not need to take this medication? And they tell me you've been like a kind of like a high functioning person with depression and bipolar and whatever for years, and for more than 2 decades of your life, and it's not just gonna fix itself like that. So yeah, I think for the first time in my life, I don't know feels okay. When they say it's okay to not be okay, I never understood that meaning till now. And feeling lost kind of feels beautiful in a way. And the unknown is no longer scary. What I'm gonna do, where I'm gonna go, when I'm gonna make it. All those things don't feel as scary as it used to be. And not having the picture perfect life that I pictured in my head, not having that is not as scary also. And finding myself seems like an adventure, and rediscovery of myself now feels like an adventure of a lifetime, which I am. I now have the courage to embark on that rather than be scared, and I now have the tools to recognize a lot of like negative self-talk and imposter syndrome. And so yeah, my sabbatical is coming to an end, and I'm actually returning back to the job that I really hated because the job market is rough. I had tried to get another job, but then I realized like it's not necessarily my work, because I feel like even if I go to another job, it's not going to be different. And yeah, I do not want to earn less money. So I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to be able to find like a work-life balance, and I just don't know what I'm doing next, but it's scary. But it's okay. It's okay. So yeah, I just wanted to, I guess, do this to like say this to like wrap up my sabbatical. And I just want to really thank God for bringing me this far and for sustaining me. I don't know where I would be without him. In the past 10 months, yeah. The past 10 months were rough, but I really thank God. I really thank God, is what I can say. Anyways, thank you guys for listening to my rambles and whatever. I'm not even sure if I made any sense with this. But yeah. Yeah. What a day. What a day. I'm gonna go back and play some more on this wing. And then I'm gonna head home. Finally home. I do want to also give thanks to my family, my brothers, my sisters, my friends. I realized like through this period, like I am really surrounded with lots of love from friends, from family, and God has really brought a lot of people that have been such a great support system and structure around me, from my childhood friends to friends I've made along the way. I do not know where I would be without having such a support system. Like when I was going through these struggles with my mental health, I would just text a friend in Atlanta, in Seattle, in Texas, anywhere. The night before, I would just be like, I'm booking a flight, I'm coming over. And they would just be like, come over. My home is always
open for you anytime. You know, my brother, it didn't matter the time difference, you know, with my brother or my dad or my mom and my siblings, they were always there to pick up the phone and hear me bawl my eyes out, cry. Like, I had such a support system around me. I read about the news of the woman that was working in Wells Fargo that had died in her office for over 4 days and wasn't discovered. That just made me feel with a lot of gratitude from the friends and family that I have surrounding me. You know, I even with when I was going through it, a friend of mine that I had made friends with in Taiwan, you know, she came to America and she was like, "Oh, let's go skiing." She didn't even know what I was going through and anything during this period, and I've never skied in my life, and I learned how to ski, you know, with her during this period. And I just want to say, like, it's so important to have such a strong friends and family around you, and to encourage people to really water the relationships around them, water friendship. No man is an island. Everybody needs support and friendship and family around them to go through this period, to pray together. I have like friends that were prayer partners that really were praying for me and supporting me through this period. I just really want to encourage people to not, you know, I know some people have been hurt by bad relationships and bad family and bad friends in the past. I mean, I've also gone through that also, but do not let that discourage you and make you feel like that's how everybody is. That is not how everybody is. You know, if something was to happen to you, you do want to have support structure. But that is something I learned a lot through my therapy and psychiatric care. Is, you know, they would always ask, who are your support system? So I'm so grateful that I have such a support system, and I think it's also because of this I'm able to, you know, be okay with the unknown and this feeling of not knowing what tomorrow is, not knowing where my bread will be tomorrow, not knowing what I'm gonna do, not knowing what I'm gonna do when I go back to work, and all these things is because I have such a strong support system around me. So yeah, I did just want to like add that to the end of this video. So well, that's all for this video. Thanks.